Hi, my name is Nicholas Babaya from the Centre for Risk Analysis. Unemployment is undoubtedly one of South Africa's greatest challenges. In this video, Frans Cronje examines unemployment in South Africa and its relationship to GDP growth. If you'd like to watch the rest of this video, it's available on the CRA website behind the paywall. Have a look.
What does this all mean for jobs, the employment outlook? Well, we do anticipate some recovery in jobs numbers. Now, 2 million jobs were lost as a consequence of the lockdown. 500,000 of those were already recovered into the third quarter. We think some recovery will persist, but not to the extent to get jobs numbers back to the levels of the first quarter of this year. Completely inadequate, the growth outlook, to get our labor market absorption rate up to emerging market or in fact developed economy norms. Here are the charts on that. It's 94 projected into 2022. The projections this time are Beki's. What you're looking at is the number of people with a job in South Africa. The overhead point is it started at 8 million. It got to earlier this year just about 16 million. So jobless growth under the ANC is it's not true at all. In fact, it's a bit of a myth about South Africa. 2 million jobs lost into the lockdown. 500,000 of those have come back now. On our growth outlook, we see jobs numbers coming back slowly into 2022. They'll still be far below the levels of the first quarter of this year. And in fact, if you go back in time, jobs numbers on the 3-year view from us will be essentially equivalent to what South Africa had more than a decade ago in 2008. And the political pressures of that, the consequences for dampening consumption, expenditure, etc. If you attend many of our briefings, you know where we think this goes politically. It's quite a thing to consider. If you talk about a lost decade in South Africa, draw those two jobs lines, compare those two jobs numbers, 2022 or now to 2008, the lost decade is very evident. On top of this, what Beki's done for us is put in the economic growth rate for South Africa, just to make the point that this relatively buoyant era where growth averaged 4% and then went up to 5%, that's really from the end of the Asian crisis to 2007-8, saw a relatively steep uptick in jobs numbers in South Africa. As growth turns downwards, of course, the opposite begins to happen, and hence our jobs forecast coming out of our growth forecast. Point to make too on the jobs position is that even before the lockdown and great economic reversal that it brought about, South Africa was, from a labor market perspective, in a pretty poor position. What you're looking at here is first quarter 2020 data for a cross-section of countries. There's South Africa, second from the right. And what we're measuring is the labor market absorption rate. What that tells you is what proportion of people of working age have a job. Now, the norms sit at around 70%, sometimes a bit below that, South Korea, sometimes quite far above that, such as in Japan. Going into the lockdown, South Africa's figure was very low at 42%. Second quarter dropped even further. It was starting to flirt with half the levels of some other economies. It's come back a bit into the third quarter. But with the medium-term growth outlook, no chance that South Africa can aspire to emerging market, labor market absorption norms. Political consequences of that are going to be quite something.
If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more strategic intelligence services, please follow the link in the description and gain access to the CRA's 30-day free trial.